Alex Middaugh lives one as a devoted husband and small-town mechanic, and another built entirely on lies, secrets, and betrayal. When police uncovered the bodies of his wife and her brother inside their quiet suburban home, the illusion shattered, revealing a man whose charm hid a deadly double life. What began as the story of a hardworking family man quickly spiraled into a chilling investigation of greed, obsession, and deceit. Alex Middaugh was known in his small Midwestern town as the kind of man people trusted. He fixed cars for neighbors, showed up at every community event, and was the first to offer help when someone's vehicle broke down on a cold morning. His garage, Middaugh Motors, had been a family-run business for years, and customers described him as calm, reliable, and honest. To outsiders, his life appeared peaceful and steady. He had a beautiful wife named Claire, a comfortable home, and a young daughter who adored him. But beneath that easy smile and quiet routine, Alex was hiding cracks that no one could see. His debts were piling up, his marriage was falling apart, and his once loving home had turned cold with silence. Claire had begun to suspect that Alex wasn't being truthful about their finances. The business wasn't doing as well as he claimed, and she noticed new expenses: hotel charges, secret cash withdrawals, and nights when Alex simply didn't come home. When she confronted him, he brushed it off as stress from work, promising that things would soon improve. But behind her back, Alex was living a secret life, one that included a woman he met months earlier while repairing her car. That relationship had grown in the shadows, feeding his frustration with the life he no longer wanted. On a warm summer evening, the calm of their home shattered. Neighbors later recalled hearing strange noises, something between shouting and breaking glass, then a single scream that cut through the night. When police arrived after a worried neighbor's call, they stepped into a scene that would shake the entire town. Inside the Middaugh home, two bodies lay lifeless: Claire and her younger brother, Daniel, who had been staying over for the weekend. The house was in disarray, as though a struggle had taken place, but officers noticed that nothing valuable had been taken. There were signs of someone trying to wipe down surfaces, and the front door was unlocked, not broken. What struck investigators most was the absence of Alex. His car was gone, his phone was off, and no one had seen him leave. The man everyone once trusted had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only horror and confusion. Within hours, the case shifted from a tragedy to a full-scale manhunt. Police now believe the friendly mechanic with the kind smile might be hiding a truth darker than anyone dared imagine. The manhunt for Alex Middaugh spread quickly across the state, turning his once quiet hometown into a scene of flashing lights, news vans, and tense speculation. Detectives combed through his garage and home, searching for anything that could explain the brutal murders. Every new discovery raised more questions. His car was found abandoned near a thick patch of woods, its doors unlocked, keys still inside, and faint traces of blood on the steering wheel. Investigators suspected he had fled on foot, possibly hiding nearby, but no footprints were found leading away from the vehicle. It was as if he had simply vanished into thin air. As detectives traced his recent movements, a more disturbing picture began to form. Just days before the murders, Alex had emptied several of his and Claire's joint accounts. Surveillance footage showed him withdrawing large sums of cash from different ATMs across town. Receipts from a hardware store revealed purchases of gloves, plastic sheeting, and cleaning supplies. To the police, it looked less like a man reacting out of panic and more like one preparing for something unthinkable. When investigators dug into his phone records, they discovered a string of calls to an unknown number that led to a woman named Tessa Marks. She was a former client of his garage who had quit her job and moved out of town around the same time Alex disappeared. Forensics teams worked tirelessly, uncovering inconsistencies in what at first looked like a robbery gone wrong. There were no signs of forced entry, suggesting the victims had known their attacker. Blood spatter analysis revealed deliberate attempts to clean certain areas, and fingerprints belonging to Alex were found on a discarded cleaning bottle. The discovery deepened suspicion that the crime had been staged to mislead investigators. Days turned into a week, and fear gripped the community. People who once waved to Alex on the street now locked their doors at night. Rumors spread that he might be hiding in the woods, surviving off supplies, waiting for a chance to flee the state. Then, a break came in the case when a farmer reported seeing someone who matched Alex's description near an abandoned property at the edge of town. Police rushed to the area, finding fresh footprints and discarded food wrappers. The hunt had turned from a search for answers into a desperate race to catch a man accused of betraying everyone who had ever trusted him. After a tense 8-day search, police finally closed in on Alex Middaugh. He was discovered hiding inside an abandoned farmhouse less than 30 miles from his home. When officers entered, he appeared exhausted and disoriented, as if the weight of his double life had crushed him. He claimed he had found his wife and brother-in-law dead, panicked, and ran because he feared being blamed. But the calm, logical explanations that had once helped him earn the community's trust were gone. Investigators quickly realized his story didn't align with the evidence they had already gathered. Inside the farmhouse, detectives found a duffel bag containing cash, fake identification cards, and a burner phone. There was also a printed map marked with several rest stops along an interstate leading out of the state. It became clear that Alex hadn't just run in fear, he had planned an escape. The media immediately labeled him the man with two faces, highlighting the strange contrast between his public image and the secrets now coming to light. The more police dug, the more they found that Alex's double life had been carefully constructed. Investigators discovered he had been having an affair with Tessa Marks, the woman from his phone records. She was traced to a small apartment in another state, where she was living under a false name. When questioned, she painted Alex as manipulative and controlling, claiming he told her he was divorcing his wife and that money wouldn't be a problem once he fixed everything. Her statement revealed that Alex had taken out a large life insurance policy on Claire only a month before the murders. That revelation gave prosecutors their motive, financial gain, and the promise of a new start with Tessa. The arrest of Alex Middaugh became a national story. Reporters swarmed the courthouse as he was led in handcuffs through a sea of flashing cameras. He maintained his innocence, insisting that he had been set up and that Tessa was framing him. But the evidence continued to build: blood traces in his truck, digital records of his searches on cleaning chemical toxicity, and security footage showing him driving home minutes before the murders occurred. Every piece of evidence tore apart the image of the good man he once seemed to be. The mask of the loyal husband and honest mechanic had finally fallen, revealing a man whose quiet life was nothing but a lie, carefully constructed to hide his darkest intentions. The courtroom was packed when Alex Middaugh's trial began, with reporters crowding every seat and townspeople eager to see the man they once admired now sitting behind the defense table. The prosecution opened with a chilling narrative, portraying Alex as a husband who had grown desperate under financial strain and resentment. They described how he meticulously planned the murders, from the life insurance policy to the cleaning supplies he purchased just days before the crime. Every photograph, receipt, and digital record was presented with precision, building a timeline that left little room for doubt. The prosecution emphasized how Alex's actions after the murders, wiping surfaces, abandoning his car, and attempting to flee, showed clear consciousness of guilt. The defense, however, tried to shift the blame toward Tessa Marks. They argued that she had manipulated Alex, convincing him to make reckless financial decisions and later framing him when their secret relationship began to crumble. They claimed Tessa's testimony was unreliable, pointing out inconsistencies in her story and her suspicious disappearance after the crime. But while the defense cast shadows of doubt, the physical evidence was overwhelming. Blood from both victims was found in Alex's vehicle, and his fingerprints were on the knife used in the attack. A search of his garage revealed a hidden compartment containing items police believed were used to stage the crime scene. Witnesses took the stand one after another, each piece of testimony unraveling the life Alex had built. Former friends spoke of how he had recently become distant and irritable. His accountant revealed discrepancies in his business records. Even his co-workers testified about strange comments he made about starting over and escaping his mistakes. By the third week, the jury had seen the full transformation of the man once seen as kind and dependable into someone driven by greed and deception. When the closing arguments ended, the courtroom was silent. The jurors deliberated for less than a day before returning with their verdict. Alex Middaugh was found guilty on 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of tampering with evidence. As the judge read the sentence, life imprisonment without parole, Alex sat motionless, his eyes fixed on the floor. The town that once respected him now saw only a man destroyed by his own lies, a man who traded love and trust for greed and ruin. The verdict brought closure to many, but the story of Alex Middaugh did not fade as quickly as people hoped. Months after his conviction, new developments reignited public interest. Detectives revisiting the case noticed inconsistencies in Tessa Marks's earlier statements. Bank records revealed large deposits made to her account shortly after the murders, money traced back to Alex's hidden business funds. Investigators realized that Tessa had been far more involved than she initially admitted. The image of Alex as the sole mastermind began to shift into something even darker, a partnership built on deceit, ambition, and betrayal. When confronted, Tessa confessed that she had known about the life insurance policy and had encouraged Alex to solve his problems so they could start over. She claimed she hadn't expected him to go through with it, but evidence suggested otherwise. Her fingerprints were found on one of the cleaning bottles left behind, and security footage placed her near the Middaugh home on the night of the murders. The revelation shocked the public. What had seemed like a story of one man's greed had turned into a chilling tale of two people whose lies fed each other until everything collapsed. Tessa was charged as an accessory to murder, and her trial revealed how she and Alex had plotted a new life together using the insurance money. Emails recovered from Alex's computer showed detailed discussions about selling his garage, changing identities, and moving out of state. It was clear that both had believed they could escape the consequences. Yet when the plan unraveled, Tessa saved herself by turning against him first. The two had destroyed each other, leaving behind only guilt and tragedy. Inside prison, Alex rarely spoke. He spent his days working in the machine shop, refusing interviews and declining to appeal his conviction. Those who saw him described a man hollowed out by regret, though whether it was for the murders or for being caught remained unclear. The town moved on, but the case lingered as a grim reminder of how ordinary lives can hide extraordinary darkness. The name Alex Middaugh became synonymous with betrayal, a man who wore two faces, living one life in the daylight and another in the shadows, until both finally consumed him.